Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah.
If someone has already performed Hajj and Umrah a few times, but strongly wants to go back again, would it be more virtuous for them to continue going back for the pilgrimage? Or is it better to sponsor someone who hasn't been before due to financial constraints?
We think about these things. I see it as, I think it's a frequent problem. Don't pit virtue against virtue. Instead, see how you can cut out vice or cut out some of the worldly pursuits. What do I mean by that? Like, you know, I look at Abdullah Mubarak, rahimahullah. Abdullah Mubarak spent, he had, what a routine. 1 year Hajj, 1 year Jihad. 1 year Hajj, 1 year Jihad. So he'd go out and battle for 1 year and he'd go to Hajj the next year. 1 year in Hajj, 1 year in battle. He kind of balanced these two things out. When someone says, for example, like, why should I build this masjid? I want to build a masjid there instead. Shouldn't we be building that masjid instead? Don't pit a virtue against a virtue. Likewise, when it comes to Hajj and Umrah, because I could make the argument that a person's connection to Allah Azza wa Jal that's nurtured through going to Hajj and Umrah is what actually increases their perspective on the hereafter and allows them to do more khair, increases their capacity to virtue as a whole, sometimes in a physical, tangible sense, and other times just in their thoughts and in their emotions. So as a rule of thumb, like what I tell people is don't pit virtue against virtue. Like this is khair and this is khair. This is good and this is good. You know, it's like someone says, you know, let's all not go to Umrah and instead send all that money to Palestine. Great idea, but let's be real. People aren't going to send their money to Palestine. They're just not going to go to Umrah. You'll end up collecting 20% of that money, you know, actually going through. And we're not even talking about finding the routes and things of that sort. So it's just not a good idea to pit virtue against virtue. Instead, pit virtue against the neutral or pit virtue against vice even more so. And think about how you're spending money in ways you don't need to be spending money. Like, you know, instead of, you know, like I'm not going to go on this vacation. Instead, I'll go to Umrah. Or instead of spending this in vanity, I'm going to spend it to sponsor someone in Umrah and Hajj, right? Those just always think in that way instead.